Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today let's talk all things retention and what it takes to ensure your brown skin girlies have gorgeous brows that stand the test of time. Our client is all mapped out, ready to go, so let's get started.
Tell me what it's like to live with superpowers. I don't know, but I'ma get it.
Hey guys, it's your girl D Rainey and we're back with another video. So today we are doing a beautiful set of combination brows on our gorgeous client here. And if you don't know what combination brows are just that. It's a combination of two different permanent makeup techniques. In this case, we're going to use microblading in the front to create beautiful microbladed hair strokes, and then shading and to create a nice sharp tail, and then we kind of blend the two in the middle like makeup. So our client is all nice and numb, thoroughly numb, and as you can see, she's just so comfortable, and we need that. As a matter of fact, I took the time to ask her, feel anything? So as you can see, she was super comfortable, and that's what we need in order to be able to do what we do, because it's really hard to create really nice clean strokes if your client is uncomfortable and moving and flinching around. So with that being said, we've got her all nice and numb, and we're proceeding with the procedure today. So what we're talking about today is retention. Again, my name is D Rainey. If this is your very first time ever landing on my channel, ever seeing any one of my videos, my name is D. I'm a serial entrepreneur, the owner of Eris Beauty, and I specialize in permanent makeup, specifically brows, and that's what I do, and that's what I like to talk about on this channel. Now, today specifically, we're going to be talking about retention, and retention is so important in what we do when we're talking about having brows that stand the test of time, and especially for our brown skin girlies, because it's a little different than working with other skin types. So that's really what I wanted to make sure we talked about today. So our goal when we're doing permanent makeup, and in truth, that's not really it. It's never permanent. So permanent makeup is not permanent forever, ever, amen. It is semi-permanent makeup that only lasts, depending on the type of skin you have, the lifestyle you have, your skin type, all these different factors really determine how long your permanent makeup will last. So if you're very active, you're out in the sun a lot, you sweat a lot, if you have an active cleansing routine and you're really using a lot of different cleansers on your skin and you're hyper cleansing your skin, all those things play a part, as well as if you have oilier skin. So oilier skin versus drier skin has a definite different retention rate when it comes to permanent makeup. So all those things play a part in how well your brows will last, how long your client's brows will last. So as a technician, it's really important for us to make sure we take really good inventory and stock during the consultation to make sure that we're, number one, we're doing a really deep dive and we're evaluating and analyzing our client's skin and really determining which type of service will be best for your client in order for them to have the desired results. We really want them to have an outcome that's going to be what they're looking for. So we want to make sure that we're taking the time to really analyze their skin and making sure that we're going to be able to deliver on what we want to do, right? So as we go through, the first tip I want to just share is let's just start at the basics. And the first thing that I want to say is that we have to have an understanding that the skin is the largest organ on our body. And as a result, the skin will respond to whatever we do to it. So the skin on the face is a lot different than any other skin on our body. So prior to your client ever coming in for an appointment, it's really important that you already have gone over some things with your client to make sure that they come in really prepared. So being hydrated is really important, because when the skin is soft and supple and hydrated, it makes putting the pigment into the skin so much easier, as opposed to the skin that's just really dry, feels really dehydrated. It just makes it so much easier. Also, it's also important when it comes to the skin and prior to the appointment that your client also does not or has not taken any kind of blood thinner. So alcohol, aspirin, anything like that that's going to thin the blood will make it very, very difficult for you to for you to do your service, because as you're trying to put pigment in, there are just higher chances for your client to bleed. So if you just think about this, if there's blood like coming out, it's hard to put pigment in, so it's working against you. So you want to make sure that there's been some discussion beforehand on what to do prior to the appointment, so your client comes in ready and poised to have a really great service, and that you're able to deliver and give them everything that you've got so they can have a really good high chance of retention. Okay, so my next tip, and tip number 2, would be that working on melanin skin requires a really good understanding of undertones. Undertones, overtones will really help in ensuring that your client not only has really good healed results, but healed results that are true to the original colors that you picked for your client. So I've had clients that come in, and traditionally melanated skin has more of a redder undertone, but I've had clients that come in with a greener undertone, yellow undertone, blue undertone. So you want to make sure that you are doing your due diligence and really looking at the skin ahead of time, looking at all of the key indicating factors to make sure that you are choosing the right colors for your client, because having a really thorough understanding of color theory will go a long way in making sure that you have some really great healed results. And if you've made it this far into the video and you're finding it to be extremely informative, please let me know. Just go ahead and drop a comment down below. If you have any questions that you have that I haven't answered, or you have questions that you would like for me to answer, please drop them down below, and I would love to be able to get your feedback and answer any questions you have. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and like this channel and like this video and hit that bell notification. You guys know what to do. Okay, we are on to tip number 3. So tip number 3 is that when choosing a color for your client, you do not need to go to the darkest shade in your arsenal. In fact, that's a mistake, because you really want to make sure, again, you're paying attention to the undertones and overtones. And more importantly than that, you do not need to go super dark. My rule of thumb is to always be more conservative in your colors. Your very first time your client has ever sat with you, the very first appointment, they are already super nervous. They are already nervous. They're already not really sure about the outcome. And although they may have been following you, they may have liked your previous work, at the end of the day, that's everybody else, and now it's their turn. So they want to, they still have some trepidation. They still have some nervousness, of course, because that is just human nature, right? As a matter of fact, my rule of thumb is that if a client comes to me and they're not nervous, I'm nervous. Like, this is your face. Like your face. So I'm so used to every single one of my clients being nervous. And part of being a really great technician is just being able to talk to them and getting them relaxed, getting them comfortable, and explaining the process every step of the way. And as a matter of fact, as we're talking about every step of the way, we're going ahead and we're razoring the hair off of the client's brows at this point, because I don't like to use a wax when I do hair removal. I only use razors. But so as we're moving on, yes, so you want to make sure that when your client is with you and it's their very first time with you, you want to be conservative in the size and color that you choose. You do not want to go too big. You do not want to go too dark. Those things, you can do that later. If a client wants to go bigger later, you can do that. If a client wants to go darker later, you can do that. It's very difficult to do the opposite, right? So you don't want to go super dark. You want your client to sit up and love their brows, not sit up and start crying. Absolutely wrong move. So when it comes to the color, again, go a few shades darker than their own natural skin color. I always try to match their hair, their eyebrows, their eyelashes. But again, I don't want to go, nobody has jet black hair. I mean, unless you actually dye it, but no one has jet black hair. Nobody was born with jet black hair. You have deep shades of brown, and that's just your reality. So I always go with like a nice ebony, chestnut, darkest brown. My favorite, my like go-to colors are all permablend colors. I've been using permablend for years now, and it heals true. I've gotten so used to the different shades and how they heal. I'm very, very comfortable. So I use permablend. Some of my favorite shades are darkest brown, blackish brown. Espresso is one of, like, I love that that color, espresso, and Tina Davies brown, and forest brown. So I like permablend. That's just my own personal choice. But again, use your brown shades. Do not go to some super dark color in your arsenal thinking this is what you're going to want, because I promise you, your client is going to sit up and they're going to be freaked out. When they come back for the touch-up, you can always add to, but don't start out that way. That's tip number 3. And that leads me right into tip number 4, and that is get familiar with your PMU shade. So whatever inks you decide you want to move forward with in your PMU journey, whether it's Tina Davies, whether it's permablend, whether it's Brow Daddy, whether it's Ink Girlies, whether it's Even Flow, whatever PMU ink pigment you want to work with, stick with it. Because a lot of one of the things that I've seen is that, new pigments come out and new technicians, they're like, they fall in love with the packaging and they want to just try this and try that and try this. But then they don't have the greatest healed results because they're trying different pigments, and all pigments are not the same. The makeup, the mineral makeup, the chemical makeup, that makes up that different pigment is going to react differently for different clients' skin. So you're not going to have a really good idea of how a certain pigment is going to react with a certain client's skin and how it's going to heal. So my immediate recommendation is just to find a pigment and ink that you really identify with, that you feel like you can work well with, that you've seen the healed results, and that will help you become a better technician. Whenever you have new clients come in, you are very comfortable with your color combinations. You're very comfortable with the pigments that you decide to choose to use because you're going to know how they heal. So don't bounce around between different inks and pigments. Stick with one for a good amount of time to learn how they heal, if they need mods, if they don't need mods, and really become a master of the different type of pigments before you move on to another. And this will ensure that your client will have some really great color retention results. And as a bonus tip, sometimes adding a couple of drops of a neutralizer to your pigments can ensure that your brows heal really warm and true to color. Okay, we've made it all the way to the end, and the last tip of my 5 tips to making sure that you have really great color retention for your melanin beauties is larger needle groupings when you're shading. So when you use a small needle, sometimes a 1RL, and you're using that to do all of your shading, the melanated skin has a tendency to become really inflamed and irritated much quicker. So using a smaller needle grouping, pass after pass after pass, can really cause the skin to become inflamed. And with that happening, it's very hard to get the pigment really into the skin without causing trauma or damage to the skin. And you really never want to overwork the skin. Never, ever, ever. So how do you combat that? Well, you use a larger needle grouping. So when you're doing your shading, try a 3RL. That's one of the easiest ways to really get a lot of pigment or more pigment into a smaller area, especially when you're still getting down to the tip and the tail and you really want it to make sure it's really nice and crisp. But it's much more tighter needle grouping, and you're able to deliver more pigment into the same area that you would, but it's going to happen faster, and which will cause a lot less trauma to the skin, as opposed to using a 1RL. So a larger needle grouping is my recommendation, again, for having better color retention on melanin skin. Try that. Let me know how that works for you. Okay, besties, we've made it all the way to the end of the video. I hope you guys found this video to be extremely informative and you got a lot from this information. This was really fun to make, and you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time on the next video. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.
You got me shaking, yeah, I feel the fever